On February 26, 2019, U.S. President Donald Trump arrived in Hanoi for the much-awaited summit with his North Korean counterpart, Kim Jong Un.
기대가 막 너무너무 다들 그냥 축배를 들 생각만 하고 있었던 거예요. 다 모여서 TV를 봤다 그러잖아. 다 모여서 속보만 기다리고 있던 거예요. 그랬는데 뭐 그야말로 막 참 말도 아니었죠. 분위기는 진짜 좋았는데.
But after nearly a year of optimism and flattery, the talks in Hanoi suddenly broke down at the very last minute. Both leaders walked out of the summit empty-handed. There was no agreement on a declaration of peace on the Korean peninsula. There was also no ban on North Korea's nuclear program. Only promises to continue with the dialogue. According to reports, Mr. Trump had offered his North Korean counterpart a deal. Pyongyang would trade in all of its nuclear capabilities, including weapons, material, and facilities. And in return, the U.S. would lift the international sanctions against the regime. But Mr. Kim refused to give in. Instead, the North offered to dismantle the Yongbyon nuclear facility located 100 kilometers north of Pyongyang. Yongbyon contains nuclear reactors, fuel reprocessing plants, and uranium enrichment facilities, a major infrastructure of North Korea's nuclear program. But Mr. Trump and his team of negotiators were not impressed. The U.S. argued that this would still leave missiles, warheads, and weapon systems unaccounted for. The impasse eventually caused a breakdown in talks between the two leaders.
기대가 너무 컸기 때문에 좌절도 많이 했었죠, 사람들. 눈물을 흘리는 사람들이 많았어요. 제가 싱가포르에 있는지 모르고 오후 4시, 5시, 6시 막 전화 와서 진짜 전화기를 들고 우는 사람들이 있었어요. 나이 60 넘은 사람들이. 그만큼 기대가 컸다는 얘기죠. 진짜 새로운 뭔가 평화시대에 열린다고 봤던 거예요. 종전선언 정도는 나오고, 종전선언 정도 나오면 전쟁을 공식적으로 종식을 선언한 마당에 일정 부분 제재는 완화될 수밖에 없을 것이고, 그 일정 부분 제재 완화의 상징은 개성 금강산 두 개는 좀 안 되겠나? 요 정도는 다 기대했던 것 같아요.
Mr. Trump insisted that no deal is better than a bad deal. But was Mr. Trump right in turning down North Korea's offer? Is no deal better than a bad deal? Clearly, many observers are divided on this issue.
Having a so-called bad deal or a deal that is, superficial, still has the effect of incentivizing the desired behaviors in North Korea. So if some kind of crumb, if you like, was thrown North Korea's way, that would still be able to lead it along the path of where you would want it to go, which is at some point in the near future to dismantle its nuclear weapons to a significant degree that would be better for everybody in that region. So throwing out even the smallest possible carrot, I think could play a very big role in keeping North Korea on that desired path. Now having no deal whatsoever is actually back to status quo, where North Korea may not be testing, it may not be saber-rattling, but it has not given up any of that capability whatsoever. So actually we haven't moved anywhere. So I wouldn't really agree with the argument that a bad deal is necessarily bad for this crisis.
In that regard, I think a lot of people actually describe this Hanoi Summit as a failure, but I think it's a great success because that advances what we call moment of truth. When ordinary people have to accept this inconvenient truth that the North Korean leadership is not willing to give up nuclear weapons, and we have to accept nuclear North Korea as a reality. Of course, that does not mean we accept North Korea as a nuclear weapon status in international standing, but the reality is that we are under North Korean nuclear threat daily, especially,
But what will it take for a deal to be reached between Washington and Pyongyang?
I think one of the learning points is that the first two summits have been extremely rushed. I think that the details weren't there, and having and ironing out some fundamental basis of agreement on both sides, starting with the definition of what constitutes denuclearization, hasn't been achieved whatsoever. And therefore, I think that the foundations for the recent summitry were actually shaky to begin with. And going forward, I think this can be avoided if the working level meetings can actually work out all these detailed issues before the broad strokes can be meted out or worked out by the leaders of both countries.
Working level talks have to be effective. I think it's incumbent on both Trump and Kim to empower their negotiators so that they can make more progress, so that when the summits come, they're not still hammering out details at the last minute.